Hi friends, Mrs. Ryan here. I'll be doing another social emotional learning lesson for you during our first week of distance learning. Um, I've been reflecting about this week and all the different skills and attitudes that I've kind of had to embody in order to make this week really successful. I know we started off the week reading a book about how sometimes problems can feel much bigger than they are. If you look at them as an opportunity, you can kind of change your mindset around things that feel difficult or challenging. And I know for sure this week I have definitely faced some challenges from technology things to figuring out how I can best support students when I'm not face to face with you all, to even just juggling some personal things in my own life. I think we've all had to sort of stretch ourselves and figure out new ways of doing things and juggling lots of responsibilities at once. But I've been really proud of many of the students who have done a great job with this and are reaching out for support when they need it. So as we wrap up the week, I wanted to read another picture book for you all that has the same sort of theme of resilience, grit, perseverance, but also problem solving and thinking about how when something doesn't go your way or something unexpected happens, how can you reframe your thinking about that, maybe make some adjustments and be flexible. And who knows, maybe in the end, things will turn out better than you expected. So as I read this book today called The Perfect Square by Michael Hall, I want you to think about in what ways this week, this weekend, and going into the second week of distance learning, in what ways can you tackle problems so that you see potential solutions, creative new ideas, or when things feel hard, how can we look at them in a different, more positive way? The book I'm about to read for you has been read with permission by HarperCollins Children's Publisher. So again, it's called Perfect Square by Michael Hall. It was a perfect square. It had 4 matching corners and 4 equal sides. And it was perfectly happy. But on Monday, the square was cut into pieces and poked full of holes. It wasn't perfectly square anymore. That's kind of how I felt on Monday morning when I wasn't in my classroom, sitting at the carpet, having morning meeting, enjoying the comfort of our classroom. I kind of felt like my whole day was just poked full of holes, and it was different. Definitely a different way to start the week. So it made itself into a fountain that babbled and giggled and clapped. When you think back to your Monday, that first day of distance learning, how did you take that feeling that you might have had about being poked full of holes? How did you turn that day into a beautiful, babbling, giggling fountain? On Tuesday, the square was torn into scraps. So it made itself into a garden. On Wednesday, the square was shredded in strips. So it made itself into a park. On Thursday, the square was shattered. So it made itself into a bridge. On Friday, the square was snipped into ribbons. So it made itself into a river. On Saturday, the square was crumpled and ripped and wrinkled. So it made itself into a mountain. On Sunday, the square waited to see what was next. It waited and waited. Nothing happened. Its 4 equal sides were confining. Its 4 matching corners were rigid and cramped. So it made itself into a window. That looked out on a mountain, that gave birth to a river, that was crossed by a bridge, that led to a park, that was home to a garden, that had at its center a fountain, that babbled and giggled and clapped. The end. So I thought this book would be a great way to end the week, our first week of digital or distance learning. And I wanted you to take a moment to reflect either in your reading response journal or on a piece of loose leaf about what this book can teach us about being creative in a time when maybe we feel confined to a space. I know that many of us are practicing social distancing. Many of us are confined to our homes. Maybe some of your parents or family members are working from home. How can we get creative about a situation where maybe we feel stuck in a square? I, for one, had to turn a bedroom into an office. I know my kids are having a little bit of a tough time wishing they could see their grandparents or having play dates with our neighbors and friends. So to solve that problem, we've been FaceTiming or making a lot of phone calls. We've also been making cards and sending letters to our friends and family. We've even done some creative ways of keeping in touch, like putting chalk messages on our neighbors' driveways, and putting letters in the mailbox for my kids' grandparents. So think about the perfect square as you head into the weekend, and as we head into week 2 of distance learning. How can you take a potentially difficult situation or a situation that you didn't want to find yourself in? That first Monday when that perfect square was punched full of holes. What did the square do? How did it show a little bit of a different perspective and make something beautiful and creative out of it in the end? So we'd love to hear from you about some of the ways that you are creatively thinking and doing things differently during this time of distance learning. So journal about it, and if you'd like, feel free to share some of those ideas with your teacher. Thanks, friends, and have a great weekend.